All right, we are live and people are trickling in. I'll just wait 10 to 15 seconds before we kick off and get started. In the meantime, for those who are joining in, please feel free to say hello, introduce yourself in the chat where you're tuning in from, and be sure to send the message to all attendees, not just the panelists. Let's be social. All right, I think we can kick off now. So hello, Finimizers, and welcome to another Finimize live event. If you haven't seen me before, my name is Reda, one of the Finimize analysts over here, and I'm hosting today's event, Your Guide to Investing with AI, hosted with our partner, Magnifi. So just before we kick off, some housekeeping rules. Like I said, for those trickling in, please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. Say hello, tell us where you're tuning in from. And like I said, be sure to switch the message to all attendees, not just the panelists. Otherwise, no one else will see your message. Second of all, just a quick overview of the format of today's webinar. So we're going to have a 15-minute conversation with our guest today, followed by a 15-minute audience Q&A, which takes me to my third and final point, which is please use the Q&A box to enter your questions, and also be sure to upvote any questions that you think are quite interesting. That way we can go through the most upvoted questions first, and it's better use of everyone's time essentially. So let's kick off. Our event today is with Magnifi, an AI designed to help you invest. In fact, it's actually one of the world's first. With Magnifi, you can do faster, better research, get help making decisions, plan for a goal, manage your portfolio, and learn while you invest. Magnifi will help you find and buy investments from a marketplace of over 15,000 stocks and funds. And Magnifi can even analyze your existing investments that you hold at other brokerage accounts. So think of Magnifi sort of like a co-pilot for your investing, kind of like Siri or Alexa went to investment school. Very exciting stuff. And actually today we have a great offer from Magnifi that you should see on your screen now. So they are offering a 30-day free trial on their monthly subscription, and you can use the code Finimize30. Alternatively, you can scan this QR code and it'll take you directly to the page. So today we are extremely excited to be joined by Tom Van Horn, who is the Chief Product Officer at Magnifi. Good to have you back, Tom. How's it going?
Reda, great to be here. Super excited, as always, to discuss this topic and also to get access to the Finimize audience as well. It's every time I'm here, it's a well-engaged audience. I'm looking forward to it.
Amazing. Thank you. And to your point, a very hot topic, especially these days, and I can't wait to get started as well. So taking a step back, and we touched on a lot of things kind of Magnifi can do, but more broadly, how is AI revolutionizing the way we manage and analyze portfolios? And can it do this across multiple brokerage accounts simultaneously?
Great question. From a Magnifi's perspective, we realize that tools like AI in the world of investing are not only for the new investors, but also established investors alike. So I think the friction of somebody needs another brokerage account or somebody needs to open up an investment account isn't there for the audience that can really take advantage of this type of technology. We've identified the top frictions are time and expertise. So every ordinary investor out there, if they're already in the markets, they're already established, they're already doing this, can benefit from AI by reducing the amount of time it takes them to do research, get right to actionability very quickly. And then also through things like natural language, they can actually communicate and find their way to different decision-making points much faster from an expertise perspective without having to have, a PhD in finance just to navigate through all the different calculations and ratios that can be overwhelming to a novice investor.
Amazing. Thank you. And can you, just to bring this to light, perhaps, can you provide specific examples of how AI can successfully uncover hidden risks or underperforming assets or excessive fees in investment portfolios? I think that's something quite overlooked actually in investing fees. So can AI help with that regard?
Absolutely. One of the things, Matt, you can do with Magnifi is you can hook up your brokerage account no matter where it is today. And I'll give myself as an example. I was with a company years ago that got me launched at E-Trade because it had a stock plan that I was a part of. I still have accounts there. When Robinhood hit the markets, I kind of wanted to see what they're doing. This industry excites me. I opened up accounts there. I have 401ks and rollovers at different places over the years that I have, and not everything's in one place. And sometimes it's for a good reason. So I think being able to bring all of those assets to one platform so the intelligence can look across all of those investments and portfolios is really what's needed in this industry as everybody's life becomes more complicated from a financial perspective. Now, our tool was originally built for professionals. We have professional relationships today, API deals through Magnifi, where we're powering the professional investment tools that advisors are sitting on their desktops with, talking to their clients. What we've really done with this technology is figure out a way to deliver it in a digestible, scalable manner to individual investors. So as an example, I come into Magnifi, I hook up my accounts. Immediately after doing that, I start having a conversational exchange with Magnifi, and it tells me, Tom, do you know that this particular stock's your biggest loser in your account? You've been hanging on to it a while, you have a loss. And by the way, some of its competitors actually are performing better and have stronger fundamentals. Would you like to explore what that would mean if you made some changes? Or it might say something like, you hold these index funds, and there are lower fee funds that can give you the exact same exposure that are available to you. You're currently spending X a year in fees inside of these investments. Maybe there's a better way for you to save money and still get that same exposure. So these are the types of things, with the saturation in the market and all the ETFs and mutual funds and investment options that are out there, that even folks that are genuinely interested in investments don't have the time to navigate across all the potential options out there, do all of that research. But a very simple thing to do in Magnifi is, well, here's my account held over at Robinhood, here's my account held over at Schwab, and immediately the tool starts analyzing across all of those accounts, giving you some of these risks that you otherwise might not be able to find.
That's amazing. I think that's also something really important, especially on the fees part, right? If you can find a cheaper index fund, on the margin, you might say, hey, 0.5 percentage point, that doesn't look too big, right? But if you compound that over 20, 30 years, which is arguably a lot of people's investment horizons, that will add up, and that will cost you massively. So I think, yeah, that's quite incredible if you can suggest cheaper ETFs and index funds, because I think that's something people tend to overlook, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
Okay, and amazing. And if we sort of look to the future a bit, how do you see AI impacting investing in terms of investment strategies or decision making? Is it something that will take over, or is it kind of like a co-pilot, or where do you see this going in the future?
Yeah, this is a very, very topical question. In a quick Google search, you're going to get a lot of opinions out there. So I'll offer an additional one, my own. The way I kind of look at what's going on right now in investments, we all know what the internet did for investing. Online brokerage came on the scene. It immediately gave everybody access. Fractional share trading came into place. People could invest in much lower dollar amounts. They were sort of empowered now to participate in markets like never before. I firmly believe that the application of AI on top of that ecosystem is the next major game changer in investing. And we're living it right now. What I don't think is going to happen, and I'm pretty certain of this, is it's not a one-click easy button where all of a sudden you hook this thing up that's called AI, and all of a sudden it's doing all these great things for you and it's taking control. I think the application of AI in this space is much like you described. It's a co-pilot. It is there to give you access to professional insights and tools. It does amazing things across all of your holdings and assets, can explain to you what's going on in the market. But at the end of the day, the individual investor is still in control of their investing. And the specific suggestions, the paths they might go down, are very much personalized. And not everything is in a templated box that it's simply you're going to turn on a switch and then it goes ahead and does all these amazing trades for you. I think that is more science fiction than is reality. But I do think the ability for the individual investor to be able to be educated and make better decisions along their individual life journey related to investments, that is game changing in what currently AI is doing in this space.
Amazing. And just a quick follow-up for me on that. Can the AI and Magnify sort of adapt its recommendations and so on based on the specific individual's investment objectives and so on?
Absolutely. In fact, Magnify is a registered investment advisor with the SEC. So this is not just a piece of tech that looks like a very cool plugin on ChatGPT, and you just want to send off some questions and get a quick answer. I think those types of solutions that are out there, like the open AIs of the world and Lambda and some of the competitors that you see, the Googles and the Microsofts coming up with, that level of AI is going to be commoditized, and it's going to be leveraged by firms like a Magnifi to really just identify language intent of the investor. What words do they use? What were they asking? Are they asking about a plan? Are they asking about an analysis and they want to compare it to a specific stock? Those sorts of things. But after that translation, it falls into the world of finance. And that's where something that needs to be very personalized. So depending on how much business somebody does with Magnifi, we may already know through, if you have actionability and have a Magnifi account, we may have a lot of KYC questions. We may say, hey, here's what we currently understand your risk is. Based on this, here are some available options to you. Would you like to change any of those? Over time, as you use the platform as well, it also learns who Retta is. It learns who Tom is. It says, Tom, you did some research on wind energy 3 months ago, and a new ETF just hit the market. Do you want to explore a little bit more about this ETF? So I think that same relationship of that an advisor has with a client, this type of technology has the ability to also learn and customize and cater to specific individuals based on their interaction and usage.
That's amazing. Very remarkable. Okay. And taking or looking at it kind of differently, but what are some of the risks or, let's say, challenges associated with integrating AI into investment management, and how can they be mitigated?
This is probably one of the first things that comes up when we have either integration discussions with existing industry partners as well. And what I would say is, I'll repeat that we are a regulated entity with the SEC. So there's a lot of existing controls, frameworks that are already in place on how somebody like a Magnifi will deliver answers and results and communicate with the clients on the other side. So I think that's different. That's coming from the regulated financial world and then applying this technology to benefit our investment clients versus a cool tech solution and then trying to find your way through what is capable and what's appropriate. So there's a lot of controls in place so that we don't have the concerns, that you might read about of obscure, weird answers coming across and things of that nature. Everything falls into a very structured framework on how we kind of collect information, how we analyze it, and how we communicate with our partners. The other thing is we also pull in professional level data. We have massive data contracts with the largest professional data providers in the industries, across the Morningstars, the FactSets, the Broadridge Financials of the world, where we're pulling all of that data in and synthesizing it, and then using that as the backer to help with the analysis and the questions that our particular clients come into play. That data is real time. It's updated daily. Things like holdings, what's inside your ETFs and mutual funds, all a part of that picture of who you are during the investment process. So you combine all that professional level data with professional tools and then delivering it in a manner through conversational AI in a regulated framework. To me, that is the way to deliver in the investment space this type of technology.
Very fascinating. So in light of all that, let's say someone's eager to get started, how do you recommend, on top of Magnifi, how do you kind of recommend investors start leveraging AI in their investment process, and what kind of resources are out there for them to get started?
Yeah, well, first of all, Magnifi is a resource. And I know we threw up the code earlier, Finimize 30. I would say jump in. You cannot do damage by starting the process, by playing around, by learning. Like I said earlier, this isn't a tool where you just turn it on and now this robot is out there moving your money around, without your knowledge and in a discretionary manner, and it's making all these trades and it's not taking into consider your personal, considerations, your needs and wants. This is something that is a co-pilot alongside of everybody that's on and listening to this right now. So they are the ones ultimately that are in control. So I would say get started quickly, jump in, sign up, connect accounts, ask questions, see what it's telling you. You might have something on your mind. You might have a plan. I want to go on a vacation in 5 years, or I have to save for college for one of my children, or, when can I retire? Those types of questions are all journeys that you have access to through this tool that you can learn what's appropriate for you. Maybe you're just on the hunt for that next investment idea. Maybe there's a particular theme that you really want to get behind and align your investments to. You can start to ask those questions. How can I invest in, wind energy, electric cars, Black Lives Matter movements, those sorts of things, and really start to align your investments. So it really depends on what type of investor you really are. The other side of it is, after you go through this, the AI assistant will start to bring up topics for you that you otherwise might not have known to look for. I'll give you an example in my own accounts. Hooked up a bunch of my accounts, and the first thing it said to me was, Tom, do you realize you have a very high concentration in the electric car theme? Now, I know some of my hobbyist things are battery tech and some of the electric cars and everything like that, but I had no idea my exposure across the board was as high as it was. So tools like this are looking inside of your ETFs, inside of your mutual funds. What is my true exposure to Europe if something happens on a macro? Questions you can ask. What is my exposure to Apple or Tesla? Well, I have these 8 ETFs held across accounts, and I didn't realize I had an additional 7% indirectly held exposure to something like Apple or something like Tesla. It's got an earnings announcements come up. You might want to pay attention to this. Are you comfortable? So I think the more you just get in and start playing and understanding, there's an education aspect of this, but every individual is going to have a point in their life where they need to take some action. They need to invest a sum of money that just came in that they weren't expecting. They need to raise some capital to apply something, and they want to know where to take those sales from and those sorts of things. They want to be able to rebalance and handle what's going on in the macro environment. So I would say just start engaging. You can't hurt yourself by educating and asking questions whenever you have them. It's an app. Pull out your phone, you're at a soccer game, a question's on your mind, you could ask it right there and just get some feedback and an answer. So you can't hurt yourself by educating.
Yeah, and I really second that. I remember when ChatGPT first came out, it's one thing reading about it online. It's a whole different thing actually experimenting with it and trying to figure out yourself what you can do with it and what are some good prompts and so on. So yeah, I completely second that. So with that, thank you so much, Tom. I think we can move to some audience Q&A, and we can start off with the most upvoted one, which is also people are asking in the chat, but Raj is asking, is Magnifi, available in the UK? Some people in the chat are asking, is it available in Europe, or is it only in the US? So perhaps you can clarify that for the audience.
Yes. So from an investment universe perspective, it's currently using US-based investments across ETFs, mutual funds, and individual stocks, things that are tradable in US exchanges. So when it's doing AI analysis, it's on top of that data set currently. It's accessible to anybody in the world, can download it and use it, ask questions, hook their accounts up, and get analysis.
Okay, and if you have brokerage accounts outside of the US, can you still hook it up to Magnifi?
It would depend on the provider. We're leveraging Plaid under the covers for all of the read-in connections out of the box that we're pulling in across all the different exchanges. So it is vast. It covers all the major custodians and broker dealers, but you'll be able to see right away if you go in to hook up an account whether it's available for that connection. But it's very vast.
Amazing, thank you. And our second question comes from Nick, who's asking, is Magnifi suitable for beginners, or do you need to already have an established portfolio? Also, can you build a portfolio with the platform? Yeah,
great question. It's absolutely for beginners. Whatever your first question, you can even ask something like, how do I get started? Or I have $500, what should I do with it? That's a part of what I was describing as having a regulated framework. You're gonna engage now in a journey where there's a back and forth and there's questions to learn about you. Great. You want to get started? You have a little bit of money to put in. Do you need help building a portfolio? Great. What is that portfolio for? Is it a goal? And you get into those questions of what's the time horizon and risk appetite, to get to that particular goal. Maybe you just want a diversified portfolio and you want to have a framework to walk down and ask some questions to be able to get to the end of, a handful of, say, ETFs or investments that you kind of guided yourself along. So absolutely. Like I said, not as you start those journeys and become an investor with Magnifi, the AI tool doesn't stop. It's continuing to watch these investments for you and give you insights on top of what you've done on the platform. Amazing. Thank you very much. And next question comes from Raj. I think we've answered it, but just to clarify, can we connect our external accounts such as eToro to Magnifi so that the AI can see if I'm using the cheapest index funds? Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it sounds very, very simple. Just are there other options out for me in the marketplace? But really, over the last year plus, there's been an absolute explosion in product, and there's been a lot of pressure on the asset managers that are in this space to do things like lower fees. So simple questions, you have an ETF and find me highly correlated ETFs with lower fees, and you'll get to see that bench, and you can help make that decision whether that trade-off might be worth it to you or not. Like you mentioned the compounding example a bit earlier. I think those are questions that are now easy to get answers on your existing portfolio, and that's a great one.
Amazing, thank you. And speaking of compounding, we've got a question from Charlie saying, I don't consider myself an active investor or trader. I'm more kind of invest and forget it and let it compound. I don't want to sell, buy all the time. Is Magnifi still relevant to me?
100%. And I love the way that question was framed up. I think we think of the world as providing co-piloted AI assistant for what we call the sensible investor. It's not the day trader, not chasing a meme stock. It's somebody that values diversification, those types of suggestions, wants to understand at any point in time where they stand on their path to a particular goal, wants to understand if there's any major events that are going on, because they're not opening their account every day, but the system can tell them that there's been something going on they might want to take a look at. It's sort of that way to have something always watch your investments and your goals for you, and then you go on and live your life. So I love the way that was framed up, that question, and absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd be a bit wary about a broker with an AI, perhaps trying to push you to trade very often and to rack up trading commissions. So
yeah, just to be 100% clear on how we align ourselves, Magnifi's AI capabilities are a subscription service, and that is very important to us. Magnifi has zero incentive and zero compensation coming into Magnifi for somebody ever doing a trade. We don't get paid on order flow. If the right move that you get to in the conclusion after the assistance is to simply stay where you're at, that's a win for us because it's a win for you. So I think our model as a business is aligned with the investor community, and that's very important.
Amazing. Next question comes from Sam. What kind of AI models are used to generate suggestions? And what kind of models are used to present the generated suggestions? I think it's, one question. So what kind of AI model is being used to generate all the suggestions?
Yeah, so Magnifi has been out in the market for a little over 4 years with its natural language search technology. We originally put up our search capabilities. CNBC called us the Google for investing, where you could simply do research, ask questions using natural language, and we would pull back all of the appropriate product in the marketplace. And that was our first step into our offering. Since then, we've generated over 250 million displayed search results, both on platform and off platform. What that really allowed us to do was build a very, very rich financial ontology. So to answer the question on the modeling, we leverage multiple models that are out in the marketplace around AI, but it's really mapping intents. It's helping us understand language and mapping those intents. Once we've identified, oh, this person has a question about when they can retire or mapping into a plan, that's when it falls into proprietary Magnifi algorithms and modules. These are tools that we've built for the professional investment community: planning modules, risk modules, analysis, proposal generation modules. We're leveraging all of that technology, but now we're delivering it back to individual investors through conversational AI. So the models themselves that everybody would read about, like an OpenAI and all of those, are not answering questions. We're using that commoditized technology. We see all these big players developing. We're using that in order to understand the interpretation and the intent. But once that step has happened, that all falls into our regulated framework and the tools that we would use, much like an advisor today would turn around on their desktop and start using a specific piece of software. Essentially, that's what we're doing back to the end investors, the AI tool, collecting information, giving them analysis, giving them facts, and then at the end of the day, they're making the decisions on if they want to take action or not.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Our next question comes from Nick, who's asking, does it work for crypto as well?
We are not custodying crypto and trading crypto directly on the platform, but we can read crypto in from other accounts and you can ask questions around crypto. So there's no actionability on that side directly, but you can certainly have crypto as a part of your overall investment portfolio and understand what's going on in crypto markets and ask questions.
Amazing. And our next question comes from Kristen, who's asking, how am I able with AI to follow specific investment goals that help me grow my money while simultaneously staying true to my values and supporting EFTs, ETFs, I guess, and organizations I believe in?
Yeah, this is definitely one of the personas that we've been servicing for a long time on Magnifi's platform. Whatever the goal is in this particular case, you go down that particular journey, but you can ask questions along the way. Are there alternative investments that align more with ESG, that align more with tech innovation, that align more, with whatever your particular thematic cause is? And you'll be served options. Yes, you can go to this particular, it doesn't even have to be like a thematically, specific investment option. We're looking at the underlying companies that are a part of all of these funds as well, and giving our clients exposure into what sort of thematic tilts they may want to have in alignment. So those are all questions you can ask. We can serve up options, and it can all be a part of your decision-making process.
Amazing. Thank you very much. And we've got a question from Nick. In addition, so can you use the tool for actual trading? So can you trade directly through the AI?
Yes, you can. So if you don't have an investment account today, we'll ask you, would you like to open one here, right? With Magnifi, we're associated with a custodian and broker dealer on the back end, and you can have direct actionability if you'd like to do so. Again, not a requirement. If you already have investments in other brokerages, that's fine. You can use the AI tool on top of that. But if you'd like to stay right there inside of the system, inside of the analysis, and have actionability directly there, then we'd encourage you to go ahead and open up a Magnifi account. Commission-free trading, Magnifi doesn't get compensated at all for anything that flows through those particular accounts. We see it merely as a feature and a convenience for one-click actionability inside of this investment tool.
A follow-up from me on that, can you, using natural language, enter things like take profit orders or stop loss orders? Like, can you tell the AI, hey, okay, I'll take some profits on the stock if it goes up 20%, and can it do that for you?
Right now, no. And the reason is all of these relationships are in a non-discretionary manner. So when you sign up for the tool and you become a client of Magnifi, which is a regulated RIA, it is not you're not opted into a discretionary management. So that user at the end of the day is still in control of when and how they execute those particular trades.
Amazing, thank you. And we have time for one last question for Hussein, who's asking, can you use the AI when investing in mutual funds? So obviously we touched on index funds and ETFs, but what about just regular actively managed mutual funds?
Yes, absolutely. I know that, I did some immediate analysis through a bunch of funds, mutual funds that I had through an old 401k plan and everything. So mutual funds are a part of the universe. ETFs, that's all a part of that fee analysis, comparing it to its competitors, best in categories, best in class analysis that the AI tool is all doing. The mutual fund universe is included in there. Amazing.
Thank you very much, Stan. Thank you so much. I'm afraid that's all the time we have today. Thank you for all the audience questions, and Tom for answering all. Before I wrap up, Tom, is there any way for people to find out more or to get in touch with you after the webinar?
Yeah, listen, go to magnifi.com. I know that we flashed at the QR code. It'll take you directly there, and there's a link, and it's also dropped into the chat. I would encourage you to go there. Take advantage of the Finimize 30 code. We're doing this just specifically for this particular audience. It's a way for you to get in, start playing with this type of technology, learn, ask questions, see what it can do for you, and just start experimenting. It's the best way to get started is just start using it.
Yeah, absolutely. With a 30-day free trial, I think you can get started and find out for yourself what it can and cannot do. And I think that's a very great approach. Thank you so much, Tom. That was super insightful. Honestly, I learned a lot, and I'm quite excited as well to get started with Magnifi. And thank you everyone for the questions, for attending. I hope it was informative and that you enjoyed it. Thank you once again, Tom. And please, everyone, if you can fill the feedback form after the event finishes, and See you next time. Thank you once again, Tom.
Thank you, Reda.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.